Hello and welcome to the ninth lesson about Python. In the previous lesson, we learned about the if conditions. In this lesson, we will be learning about for loops and an introduction to looping code. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Have you ever had to do something over and over so many times? Really boring, don't you think? The same goes for coding. I mean, if you had to print hello like 100 times, it would be boring, if not tiring, to type out all those print statements. Well, we have a solution for this. Loops. In this lesson, we will be learning about the for loops, which are one of the two types of loops that are available in Python. For loops are a type of statement that help you to run a section of code repeatedly a certain number of times or iterate over a sequence. Here is the syntax for a for loop. Remember to indent the code after the colon. There are 4 different types of for loops, each with its own syntax. For loop number 1. Purpose: to repeat a piece of code a certain number of times. Here is the syntax. Notes: I is the most commonly used loop variable, but any variable name can be put here. N is the number of times the code in the loop is run. Any integer can be put here. Okay, let us see what happens when we print out I, the loop variable. So the variable I goes from 0 to n minus 1. Be sure to remember this fact. It will be important as we learn about the other types of for loops. For loop number 2. Purpose: to run a piece of code a certain number of times while controlling the loop variable. Here is the syntax. Notes: start is the starting value of the loop variable. The default value is 0. Any integer can be put here. End is the ending value of the loop variable. Any integer can be put here. Okay, let us see what happens when we print out I, the loop variable. Okay, so this time the variable I goes from start to end minus 1. This is the same sort of pattern we saw for loop number 1. For loop number 3. Purpose: to run a piece of code a certain number of times while controlling the loop variable. Here is the syntax. Notes: start is the starting value of the loop variable. The default value is 0 and any integer or floating point value can be put here. End is the ending value of the loop variable. Any integer or floating point value can be put here. Steps is the value by which the loop variable is increased every time the loop is run. Any integer or floating point value can be put here. If this value is negative, the loop variable's value will decrease. Okay, let us see what happens when we print out I, the loop variable. So this time the variable I goes from start to n minus 1, which is why 10 was not printed, but increases or increments by steps each time the loop is run. For loop number 4. Purpose: to iterate through the elements of a list. Here is the syntax. Notes: item is the most commonly used loop variable for this type of loop, but any variable name can be put here. List is the list that you want to iterate over. Any list or variable containing a list can be put here. Do not worry about lists for now. They will be covered in a later episode. Okay, Let us see what happens when we print out I, the loop variable, for a certain list. This time, as you saw earlier, the items in the list were printed out one by one as I was assigned to each value. By now, you are probably thinking, really, when am I going to need this for loopy stuff? I don't think I'll need it. Well, if you think so, here's a task for you to try. Print hello 100 times without loops. Well done! You made it through the 9th episode about Python. In the next episode, we will be looking at while loops. So I'll see you next time, and don't forget to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe.